never get over our theme music. It's so cool. Welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks. Along with Christian Chambers, my name is Ryan. We are two brothers who love hockey in the state where football is king. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsor of this episode of this podcast and all of THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN next time you are there using their services. Christian, how goes it tonight?
We win, and the Blackhawks is bad.
Yes. I mean, personally, this game was boring. I mean, especially the first period. It was so boring. But, especially after all of the craziness of this season and some of the lack of effort we've seen, especially in the game where we were at the American Airlines Center in the press box. I'm going to keep telling people that because it's so cool that we got to do that. It's kind of nice to have a boring game like this where the Stars just do what they do and what they should have been doing this entire season, which is kind of take care of business against a team they should beat.
Yeah, that's the key word, is to take care of business. They went up there in a midweek game where they basically have the week off, and this is a game that you could easily lose. James would call this a trap game, and they did exactly what you said. Took care of business. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't beautiful. In the defensive end, I think it was beautiful for the majority of the game, but they got it done, and there wasn't really any scare at any point, and it was pretty easy, pretty simple. I think a lot of that had to do with how bad Chicago is and not how great we were, but we were good enough to beat them.
Well, yeah, I obviously Chicago is very bad. I mean, what you said, you said yourself. Who was on their first line?
Yeah, Jason Dickinson.
Former Dallas Star Jason Dickinson. And as much as I love him, and he was one of my favorite players when he was a Dallas Star, he is not even a third line center on most teams. So just the fact that that's where Chicago is at, they are full team tank going after Connor Bedard in the NHL draft lottery. Do you think they get him? Side note, do you think they get him?
It looks like it. I don't know how that, I mean, honestly, while I was watching this, I know the Stars were really bad for a time there, but this has got to be the worst NHL team I have seen play. Like, even Arizona and Anaheim, I was like, okay, they got some good players there. Like Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, that's pretty nuts. Chikrin on Arizona, man, that guy's crazy. I watched the Chicago team, and it's
he's not there anymore.
Yeah, he's not even there anymore. But I watched the Chicago team, and it's like Seth Jones does something cool twice a period, and that's it. And the rest of the game is just them turning the puck over. It was, man, I feel like that was one of the worst hockey teams I've ever seen play in a real game.
So, awkwardest moment of the game, because I thought there were several, and we'll get to the one thing that was actually kind of interesting in the game tonight.
I mean, Stalock getting ejected, that was exhilarating.
Right. Yeah, that was probably the highlight of the game, right? I mean, it was so boring. The Stars are taking care of business. The Blackhawks are not getting any kind of offense whatsoever. I mean, what was it all about? I don't understand what he was all mad about.
I don't either. I mean, yeah, it was a sucky situation, but like, does he want a penalty there? Like, the dude scored a goal, and you just stood still afterwards. You're like, oh, dang, it got scored on. I mean, get out of the way when there's a freight train coming at you. I don't know what he was so upset about.
Well, so let's talk about that play for a second, because again, it was one of the few things of this game that was actually interesting. So it was I almost said Dellandrea, the Glendening shorthanded goal from a Dellandrea pass, which, by the way, beautiful pass, great redirect shot to get it into the net. When you look at the play, the reason why I don't understand why Stalock is all mad about it is because it's how he plays. He plays out at the edge of his crease because he's a little bit of a smaller guy, and he likes to challenge shots. That's great. That's exactly what you should do as a goaltender. I like that. I definitely like that. But when you do that, you put yourselves in harmful situations. When you look at that play, he was not in the crease. He was on the outside of the crease. And if he had been in the crease, Glendening would have gone right by him with no problem whatsoever. And it would have just been a goal, right? So I don't really know what he was super upset about. And here's the other thing. It's not like he was going after Glendening. He was going after the refs.
Yeah. I
but
would understand
that's
it more if he
why
was going after Glendening. He was like, "Hey man, it's a 3-0 game. What are you barreling towards me for?" But no, he
right.
actually wanted a penalty on it for whatever reason. And like you said, you said earlier, top of the crease. I was like, I would be shocked if he was touching any blue paint during that altercation.
Well,
He
and it's
was in between the two face-off circles. He was way out of his net.
yeah, it just made no sense, and it's not like Glendening was purposely trying to go in on him or anything like that.
No, he was
He
going where
made a
people score.
conceited effort to
Concerted.
avoid the collision, and it still happened. So, I mean, if you're gonna play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes. I'm sorry, Alex Stalock. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Especially for a rookie, that's probably not a great look for you to get thrown out of a game 10 minutes after something happened.
Well, he's most definitely
Although,
not a rookie.
oh, he's not? I thought this was a
No,
young guy.
I think he's like 35 years old or something like
Okay.
that, Chris. Yeah.
Well, either
He
way, he's a career AHL guy. We might have found out why. But
Nah, he's a decent goaltender, but
him
he's
waving the
not
white
like a number
flag at the
1
end,
guy.
though, was hilarious. That
That
was
was kinda
awesome.
funny. That
I
was kinda
love
funny.
that. That's a great. If you're gonna get thrown out, that's a great move. That's a great move. Respect to him for that
Well,
one.
the even funnier part is that he got thrown out, and then he pretended not to notice that he got thrown out, so he went back to the
Oh
crease
yeah,
and just started stretching again for, like, the final 3 minutes. I was just like,
that was hilarious.
"Okay." So
He got thrown out the best way possible. It
I
was
know,
great.
right? Exactly, yeah. So, anyways, the other thing was that I was actually really surprised about was how long the refs dealt with it. They dealt with it for over 10 minutes of game time because the Glendening goal was scored with like 13 minutes remaining in the third period, and they didn't throw him out until like less than 5 minutes remaining in the third period. So the fact that the refs were, willing to deal with all of his verbal assault, I got to give it to
Well,
the refs a little bit too. I mean, good for them.
yeah, they were trying to keep the game calm. I mean, it was a 4-0 game against a team that is actively attempting to lose. The game was over. They were just trying to hope that he got his head on straight eventually and realized that what he was saying was stupid and didn't matter. And they just wanted to keep the temperature of the game down. But I don't know. I guess Stalock wanted to yell.
And then, kind of on the flip side of that, this is a direct result of that play. Delandry has very quickly become my favorite Dallas Star. And tonight, 100% shows why he is one of my favorite Dallas Stars members right now. So, the ensuing faceoff right after Stalock gets thrown out, Murphy is probably jawing, I'm assuming. Connor Murphy, the defenseman for the Blackhawks. And he's sitting, and Glendening is out there for the ozone faceoff, which is weird in and of itself. But he's out there. And, he's sitting there probably jawing at Glendening. And Delandria goes to the other side. He's on the opposite side of where Murphy is. He purposely moves Miller and Glendening out of the way, and he takes a fight right then and there, and bloodies up his nose at the same time. So, I mean, and there was an obvious height difference there, and I mean, it was significant. It was quite
Yeah.
significant. It was like 5 inches, I feel like. So, and probably like 30 or 40 pounds. So, I mean, Delandria, hats off to you, man. That's awesome.
I like the idea there, and I get what you're saying, the camaraderie and everything. That was a stupid fight to take. The end of the game, it doesn't matter.
I know.
We're 2.5 weeks away from the playoffs. The dude is like a foot taller than you. Just end the game. Come on.
I like his character. This was a game that didn't
Yes.
matter. They were gonna win, and
Showing
yet
the character
Delandria
was good, but there
was still willing to be out there and say, "Hey, dude, shut the heck up," and I'm gonna. I don't know. I
there
liked
was
it.
no other outcome. The outcome that happened was inevitable. Like once
I wasn't
Delandria
saying it
decided
was
to fight him,
smart.
it was like that was the only thing
yeah.
that was gonna happen.
Exactly. I wasn't saying that it was smart. I was saying that I liked it. I liked the character shown by Delandria there. So I don't know.
Hopefully he didn't break his nose is all I'm gonna say.
All right. Anyways, let's get to the actual Dallas Stars part of this game, the interesting part. Well, I guess not as interesting part, but
There was interesting parts.
yeah.
The defense was fantastic. Only allowed 18 goal shots the entire game.
Yeah, and for a while, I honestly thought that they were going to set an NHL record in not allow the team to get above 15 shots. So, I mean, it's great to see that. And this is exactly a type of game that's kind of like a warm-up game. I hate to call it that because, I mean, that's just really what it is. It's an AHL team versus an NHL team. But Dallas took care of business. It allowed them to get back into that mentality of, hey, we actually can play defense. And they did tonight. So what was the most impressive thing that you saw about their defensive game tonight?
I mean, the first two periods, it was just fully clogged in the middle of the ice. And that's what we've talked about all season long is their defensive mentality. They'll give up shots on the edge and they'll try and block them, but you're really not going to get any chances in the slot. And they didn't tonight. I haven't looked at the shot charts, but I would guess there was maybe 2 shots from in between the circles. It was pretty great defensive night in the center of the ice.
I think the two biggest things for the Stars defensively in this game is one, I think this is the biggest one. Ottinger was able to basically take a back seat here tonight. He was not overtaxed whatsoever. And then I think the second one for me that I personally liked was the amount of odd man rushes, which has absolutely decimated this team the past couple of weeks, was very minimal tonight. And again, I know it's against Chicago, but I mean, you got to take the victories, the moral victories when they come. And I don't know if that's going to help them be successful going forward against the, again, I hate to say it because I'm not trying to offend Chicago or Chicago fans, but against real competition.
Yeah, I mean, it for sure helps you build confidence. And like you said, a game like this kind of gets you away from how terrible that Vancouver loss was. It kind of erases it fully from the mental whiteboard, if you will. And it lets you move on to what's going to be a tough little weekend here. I mean, you've got the first game against Arizona, which is absolutely another trap game. I mean, you're already looking at Colorado on Saturday, but you got one more team to face first. You have to win that game, feels like 100%. And then the Colorado game could be huge when it comes down to who's going to win the division. If we want to stay in it, I mean, realistically, you have to win both. So
right.
It's a big weekend coming up. So it's good to wash out the nasty taste from the Saturday game.
And Ardell over here reading my mind, saying the Coyotes are playing well, y'all. Look at their last 10. So that's absolutely exactly what I was. They've been playing really well lately. It's probably because the teams that are starting to gear up for the playoffs are doing that, and they're probably maybe taking their foot off the gas a little bit. But I mean, give credit to the Coyotes when the Coyotes have been able to play spoiler against these teams that are trying to, get into the playoff picture or, get second in their division instead of third or be the division leader. They've been able to spoil those teams. So I think this game coming up on Friday is much more of a trap game, in James's words, than tonight was. I expected a win tonight just because of the roster. Chicago is not good. Arizona is still definitely much better than Chicago.
Yeah, it's going to be a big difference. You still have to win the game, even if they're playing good. But yeah, they're an actual NHL team. If they're trying to tank, they've done a terrible job, which they're already on their way up, as we've talked about. And the way this team plays, every time we've played them, I've been like, that doesn't look like a bottom team in the NHL. So it's really impressive how they play hockey. They always play hard. So they're coached very well, and they all have very good work ethic. And it's honestly good to see from Arizona since they've been so bad the past 3 years.
Yeah, I really feel bad for Arizona because I really think I don't know if you've seen the amount of talent that they've got coming up, like young guys especially,
Crazy.
but it is freaking ridiculous what they've got. They've got Logan Cooley, they've got Michelli, they've got lots of other guys that are kind of coming up the pipeline. And yeah, they're going to need another 5 years or so, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it'll kind of coincide with around the time Arizona will hopefully be getting their new building. So we'll see how that goes. And as much fun as I've made of Arizona this year in their 3,000 seat arena, I know it's really like 5,000, but whatever. I still want to see them do well. I want to see them get a big building and we'll see how that goes with them.
Before we move on from Arizona, who's playing on Friday? Big question there. Are you starting Matt Murray?
This is
or
definitely a Matt Murray game.
slash Wedgwood?
Well, yes, the Ottinger is not playing on Friday. That would be my expectation.
I would agree, but I don't think they've done that yet this year. I don't think that they've played their backup on the first night of a back-to-back. And I agree, this is you look at it and it's like, obviously, you have to play Otter on Saturday. But I don't know. They haven't done it yet.
It's going to happen. It doesn't matter that they haven't done it yet. This is not a Ottinger game. I'm sorry. If we lose to Arizona, it doesn't matter. If we beat Colorado, that'll be a bigger deal. And let me rephrase that. We need the 2 points. This is a perfect time to talk about it. So the Stars are currently third in the they started the game third in the Central Division. So they're still third.
We are a game behind.
We're going to talk. I want to save some of the conversation, Chris, for tomorrow night for the live stream when James will be here with us. But that's a quick turnaround. And it's not necessarily a fact of that the Stars have been really, 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 really bad, because they haven't been. They've just been, above average, kind of going through the month of March. They sucked in February, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But Chicago and Minnesota are both on insane tears. I mean, we saw that
hockey teams in the league right now.
on the road, especially. We saw that graphic, and Dallas
10.
is fourth.
The last 10, Minnesota's 7-1-2. Colorado is 9-1. 9-1. These are the two best teams in the league right now.
And the crazy thing is Minnesota is doing it without their best player, without their superstar. Yeah. That's basically us doing the same thing without Robertson. So it is very scary to imagine how it's going to be when Kaprizov does return. And he will be back for the playoffs for sure. We just don't know if he'll get in like the last 2 or 3 games of the regular season. But words. What we're going to talk about tomorrow night is this necessarily a bad thing for the Dallas Stars to not be first in the Central Division? And we'll talk to that tomorrow. But I think there's an argument to be made there, Chris. So we'll save that for Wednesday.
Have to argue hard tomorrow.
I know you want to get into it right now, but we'll save it for tomorrow. I want to talk about a little bit about the goals tonight, because the goals all of them were very excellent tonight, very well scored. Sagan on a 3-on-2 from Hakanpää, so very nice shot there. There was another goal, I didn't even write it down, but Miller scored. It's probably a shot that needs to be saved. It shouldn't have gone in, but still, Miller has been better recently, so he gets rewarded for being better recently. The third goal, I still actually don't even know who got the goal. Was it Pavelski or Robertson that got the redirect goal?
Pavelski.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me. Of course he did. It's a redirection. And then the final goal was probably, in my opinion, the prettiest of the 4. Mostly because of the Dellandrea pass all the way across to Glendening. So
was great. That was best play.
So the Stars did excellent in both facets of the game, but they were more of a counterattack team tonight than they have been in the past. Is that something that we could see going forward, and that they need to be a little bit more stingy defensively like they were tonight?
I don't think that's the game you want to play. The first period that the Stars had was not really good, I don't think. Overall, defensively, it was great. Don't get me wrong. But the first half of the first period, that's not Dallas Stars hockey, I don't think. We need to be more aggressive offensively, have more pressure in their zone overall. I think the first period was more to do with Chicago bad than Stars good.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. Okay. And I'm not going to blame Ottinger for the goal that he gave up. It was a rebound goal, and it's whatever. So I think it was a little easier to kind of blow things off tonight. There were a couple turnovers that I was like, that's kind of stupid. Why'd you do that? And I think we were able to blow them off because the game was boring. Yeah. The Stars were up 4-0, and they mostly took care of business.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this was a great game by the Stars at all. But like you said, when it's a bad team, it's really hard to judge exactly how well they played. But they did what they had to, move along, get another 2 days of rest, and let's get ready for a big last couple of weeks.
I agree. So, well, anyways, I want to end off with this. This is not about the game, but I wanted to end off with thoughts on Saturday because Saturday was so much fun for us. We got to go up into the press box of the American Airlines Center. I never thought in a million years that I would be able to do that as anybody, as a fan, as a member of the media, as I guess we're members in the media now. Just because we got credentials up there, but I mean, did you get a chance to kind of reflect on that experience a little bit? It was so surreal.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it kind of felt like we were kind of just playing playing as journalists a little bit, but you know what? Whatever. We have a big enough podcast that if we want to play journalists, we can play journalists.
Right.
It was really cool to be out in front of the stadium, getting a lot of Stars fans to come see us, talk to the guys that we've talked to online for forever. That was really cool to actually put faces to names. So yeah, I hope we can do it again.
We'll be back again tomorrow night. We've got a lot of topics to talk about, and it's some heavy stuff as well. We're going to talk about what I mentioned, whether it's really bad if Dallas is not going to be first in the division. Chris is obviously on one side. I'm on the other. We'll argue about that when we get there. We'll talk about possible matchups for the Dallas Stars and who they will face in the first round of the playoffs. Where this is definitely a playoff team. Like I don't foresee this team getting out of the top 3 in the Central Division. There's no chance that Winnipeg is going to catch us. So I think that's fair to say. And then we'll start off with a little bit of World Baseball Classic talk and how it relates to the NHL and what hockey is doing right or what they might be doing wrong. So that will be a really interesting topic as well. Chris, you got anything else tonight?
Nope. All good. Good win.
Good.
Bad Blackhawks. Got points. Man, the standings are crazy.
Yes, it is. I agreed. By the way, once again, go and check out Chris's blog post. It's on our website, sarcasticremarks.com, about his personal experience about being in the press box and the whole day and stuff like that. It's a really good read. It's not too long. It'll take you like 2-3 minutes to read it. So I highly suggest you go and read that there. Thank you again to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Once again, use that promo code THPN. And along with Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. We'll be back with you guys on Wednesday night. And we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Christian, take us out.
GG, boys.